Hey there folks, it's me TheTacticalBrit, and today I'm back with some new Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and we're going to be looking at the recent gameplay that was revealed by Activision and the guys over at Infinity Ward, but also we're going to be talking about something that keeps coming up every time something releases about this game. Regardless of what comment section you scroll through, there are so many people saying that this Call of Duty looks slow, clunky, and doesn't look as fast-paced as previous generation games. Well, the simple fact is, yes, that is actually true, but today I'm going to explain why that's not a bad thing, and why this isn't anything new or different for the Call of Duty franchise. For those of you who've been long-term veterans of the game, you'll know that this is actually pretty much a return to the original days of Call of Duty, especially in the very early periods, and I for one welcome it, and will explain here in this video today why it will benefit gameplay in the upcoming game. This video today, by the way, is brought to you by Aorus Gaming. If you're looking for the best in PC components, peripherals, or gaming monitors, check out their products in the link in the description below. So before we begin, there are two very simplistic things that I want to get out of the way to explain why Call of Duty looks very different in this game, and for some reason, for what some people would claim, a lot slower. Now, number one, there was this huge issue surrounding motion blur. Now, when previous YouTubers went to go capture the game, motion blur was automatically turned on. Some of the footage, people turned it off, other people didn't, and motion blur is universally known for whilst making your game look smoother, does in fact make it look slower, because you're getting evidence of blur every time you make a movement in the game. You're going to see a small amount of motion blur everything you do, be it reloading a weapon, moving left to right, side to side, or anything in between. And that motion blur can add to the whole idea, or effect at least, that things are slower. And number two, well, this game's running on a brand new engine, so there's a complete overhaul of graphics, animations, and anything in the game that you previously understood to be Call of Duty in terms of pacing and speed and movement has been completely changed. And in some ways that's going to be strange and it might actually point towards a slower game, but in a lot of ways, because you haven't actually been able to play the game yourself, it's very difficult to judge whether or not this game is slower than others. But based off of some of the animations alone, it does look like this game is taking a slower route to Call of Duty, which is actually something that isn't new. This has existed in the franchise for a very long time, which I'm going to get to later, but ultimately, with the brand new animation set and things moving a bit more slowly, the game looks fantastic, and I really do think that the departure from the kind of things we've seen in Black Ops 4 and previous iterations of Call of Duty where things just move at lightning speed and don't really have any time to think about it, it's just a better way of playing, and I'm going to break into why that is the case. Now, Call of Duty as a franchise is an arena shooter, and arena shooters tend to use certain features in their games to try and make them skillful, or at least create a skill ceiling. And any arena shooter you'll play will have something about it. For example, if you're playing Overwatch, it tends to be the combination of abilities, as well as things like accuracy. If you're playing something, I don't know, like League of Legends, which is a MOBA, which is, again, not really an arena shooter, but definitely a competitive game, it's about strategizing. But every competitive game or every arena shooter will try and have something. The recent game Splitgate very much focused on movement in terms of how they were going to increase situations. They were going to make movement the key pinnacle focus of how they made their game competitive. Now, here we are with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and Gunfight has been deliberately showed to the public to show the competitive nature of the game mode, but more importantly, it specifies where the competitiveness comes from. And there are two aspects to it. The first one is map design, and the second one is in fact the pacing of the game, which is why people think it's slower. Number one's pretty obvious. Well, yeah, you need to know the maps you're playing in to really get an idea of what angles you should be taking, where you should be throwing grenades, for example, and really everything in between. Having good map design and having a full understanding of different routes and alleyways within your maps is just effectively a good way to play any competitive game. But in terms of the pacing and why Call of Duty looks slower, this is another way that this is going to be more competitive. And it's why people have been making connections to games like Rainbow Six Siege. Now, Call of Duty has slowed down the game. There's no denying that. It is slower, especially when you look at animations, for example. But the reason for that is because of micro decisions. Now, for those of you who don't know what a micro decision is, in a competitive environment like an arena shooter like Call of Duty, you're looking at the very subtle things you do in-game that will differentiate whether or not you win a gun battle. For example, do I have time to throw a grenade? Do I have time to reload? Should I be checking this corner when I go round it? Should I be aiming down sight? Should I be sprinting? And all of the animations point towards this. For example, in the new Call of Duty game, when you come out of the sprinting animation, it isn't as simple as it previously was where you just instantly snap into your aim down sight. There's a bit more of a delay there, which means that you can't run and gun into situations and you have to approach them in a much more methodical manner. It means that these animations are going to be taxing and tolling on your decision making, and this is exactly why players who are more intelligent and players who think about these micro decisions on the fly will be the better players in this game. Every micro decision you're witnessing about grenade throwing, reloading and stuff in between is exactly why the competitive scene for Call of Duty is going to get a huge shake-up, because players who were previously good at the fast-paced twitch shooting nature of Call of Duty are suddenly going to be greeted with a game that's much more slow, much more methodical, and will require them to do things like checking corners, aiming down sights at correct intervals, and doing things that they previously wouldn't considered. But this is why I personally am excited for the game, and why it looks slower in general is actually a good thing, because this is no different to what we actually had in Call of Duty a very long time ago. For those of you who've played the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, grenades took ages to throw, flashbangs and normal ones in general. Reloading took a very long time. Sprinting meant that you couldn't just snap into new gun animations. And it made it that every single thing you did in Modern Warfare very much defined whether or not you were going to win a gun battle. So if you sprinted into something and you didn't aim down sight, you'd get shredded. If you threw a grenade when somebody was pushing you on a corner, you'd get killed before the grenade got thrown off. Or if you decided that you're going to vault over a wall or something, that animation would slow you down, and if you hadn't checked your corners or was situationally aware, you'd be punished for that. So effectively, if you were to take every single animation in Call of Duty, be it reloading, aiming down sight, jumping, crouching, proning, vaulting, or anything in between, all of those will now have pretty stiff animations, and some of them will take a little bit longer. And when you combine that with, for example, the fact that this Call of Duty seemingly for the first time has added recoil to the game in a very serious manner, because a lot of people who play Call of Duty now probably don't realize that recoil in COD is basically non-existent. It's just not really a thing, especially if you go and play other shooters in the same market. You'll realize that COD is a very light and lax game on recoil. So when you combine all these things together, recoil compensation, the animation system being slow and taxing, and all these micro decisions that come with it, you're having a much more tactical, much more methodical Call of Duty, one that very much represents the original Modern Warfare from ages and ages ago. We're talking like 2007, I think, or something early as hell like that. And it's not a departure from the franchise, it's a grand return to when the franchise was at its best. Boots on the ground Call of Duty, and I really hope they go the extra step here and tone down things like kill streaks and make them less invasive, make them less powerful. And by the looks of it, in gunfight at least, there currently is no minimap in the game, and I think that's a fantastic idea. I think players should have to use situational awareness, I think players should have to use knowledge of maps, and also I really do believe that players should have to use their audible features as well, like being able to listen out for players to really reduce this whole sort of I fired a gun, so here's a red blip, oh shit, everybody knows where I am, I'm dead. And if they can combine all of these features together, you're going to look at a Call of Duty that not only is very challenging, that will have a very high skill ceiling, but one that I personally believe is going to completely redesign the competitive scene. If you look at all of the competitive players in Call of Duty these days, though mind you, I'm not exactly the most up to date, what you'll notice about the vast majority of these players is they're very quick. You know, they're the first to the draw, they're the first to get the headshot, they're the first to jump around corners and things like that, and a lot of them have used the movement system in the game to be speedy. And you'll notice in general in most competitive arena shooters or any kind of competitive shooter, be it CS, Call of Duty or Rainbow Six Siege, a lot of the professional players really do focus on speed. They want to be upfront and personal and in your face as fast as humanly possible. And I think the biggest example of that is if you go and play Rainbow Six on console and then you go and play Rainbow Six on PC, the added addition of mouse and keyboard makes it so that players are significantly faster. They'll run around corners and headshot you in fractions of a second. Now, the competitive scene in COD has been no different to that, But now the game is taking a different direction. It's going back to Modern Warfare 1, where you have to think. You can't just run around corners, you know? Players who are going to be sprinting down lanes and just getting shredded are the players who won't be successful. And I really think this is going to cause the biggest shakeup they've seen in a very long time for a game that, in my personal opinion, both looks fantastic in terms of animations, but looks like it's going to have a really great competitive ecosystem in terms of strategizing and thinking. So troops, that's about it from me today on TheTacticalBrit. What do you think about Call of Duty Modern Warfare? Do you think it's slow, or is this pacing straight up your alley? Let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.